Yo, Zach. Are we supposed to do the tech PeTa? The tech PeTa? The video?
What video?
You called me here to do a video.
I called you to go here?
Yes.
Oh. Oh. So, hello guys, my name is Zach and I am a very tired student and I just want to get this over, so let's get to it. So right now we're going to discuss how to assemble and disassemble a computer. If you guys do not know, you should try checking out my manual that I posted online and download it. It's in the video and in the description or in the title, somewhere over there. So right here I have my manual. Why? Because this is something that we formed already a long time ago and now we have to make a video about it. Okay, so let's go to the review. So at first, give me a moment. Yes, the assembly guidelines, yes. So into building a PC can be a little tricky. So it's crucial to know the simplest steps of building one. Oh my god, it doesn't want it. Yes. So here in the video, we started with disassembling the PC first. So just so you know, assembly and disassembly is just basically vice versa of how they work. So since we're starting with disassembly, let's go start with disassembly. We go to the last page. Okay. So in the disassembly guidelines, there are at least 9 steps. ESD prevention, removal expansion cards, removal of case fans, disconnecting the wires, removal of storage drives, then the motherboard, and removing the RAM, CPU, and then finally the ESU. So just always remember to follow the precautions given. And we'll start in with the review of the video, the presentation of the video. So the thing about the ESD, since it's the most comprehensive, the most safety-inducing one. Safety, is that how you say it? It's really hot, guys. It's really hot here. But anyway, yes. Let's get on with the video. So of course, assembly and disassembly. So at first you have to bring down your case and you have to do the ESD prevention. And we continue with the disassembling process. So first, remove the side panel. Yes, remove it, get it out. Yeah. And then next one, remove expansion parts. Remove it. Yes, remove the expansion parts. After removing the expansion parts, just wait for a couple of seconds. I'm trying to remove the what's next again? Oh yeah, right. Case fans. Okay, the case fans, but he just said just remove the case fan. Right, so remove the case fans first, and then not the heatsink fan, because the heatsink fan goes with the motherboard, which is the heatsink is connected to the CPU, so you remove them at the same time with the motherboard. So we remove the case fans, and I'm gonna skip it to the next part already. So of course you have to disconnect the wires, disconnect it, remove it, disconnect, plug everything out. You know, because earlier you plugged everything in, now you're gonna plug everything out. Gotta remove it, alright, remove, nightmare. Remove it, get it out of there, get it out. I said, yes, get it out now. Okay, remove all the wires, remove it, why? Remove, faster, stupid, dumb. Don't be like that, guys. I'm just trying to make it very entertaining for you, alright? Okay, we're removing all the wires, they're all gone. What's next? Of course, we're gonna remove the storage drives. So, for the storage drives, you just have to do the same thing as you did earlier. Unlike that, screw it in, but this time you're gonna screw it out. I think I got something on my throat. You remove Remove the storage drives, remove the screw, and yeah, they're gone. Remember, these aren't toys, so just be careful with them. Because if you drop them or just throw them around like how I do, they're just gonna explode. I mean, they're gonna break. So yes, remove, and then the next part you detach the motherboard. So when you detach the motherboard, considering you have to remove every single screw safely, and surely, and calmly. Because if you do it very crazily, you break the thing. Let's get to that part. So now we finally got the motherboard off, and now we're just waiting for me to remove it gently. Oh, yes, gently. So keep in mind, the motherboard is very important, so you have to be very careful when you're taking it out. So, I don't know what I'm doing. I thought that I was going to say something, but I'm just watching myself just caress the PC case. So in here right now, the next step is to remove the RAM cards and then eventually the CPU. In that way. Okay, so when removing when you remove the motherboard, what does he have to do? Oh, when you remove the motherboard, we move on to the next step. We're removing the RAM cards and then onto the CPU. Before you remove the CPU, remove the heatsink because the heatsink is covering the CPU. You already know. So remove it gently and surely. Gently and surely. Safety. Remove it. RAM cards. Wait, why did I remove the CPU first? Okay, that was not a good thing. That was definitely not a good thing. Remember guys, remove the RAM card and the CPU. Don't do it. Remove it. Remove both, remove everything. And then finally you remove the last part, which is the PSU. So, like I said, RAM card, heatsink fan, CPU, and then finally the last one. Alright, remove the last one, which is the PSU. So we're going to teach you, the audience, to assemble a computer. So first things first, you need to take care of ESD prevention. Let's get it on. So ESD prevention, yes. This is the wrong clip. And yes, this is the right one, the right clip. First, of course, when you're going to construct a PC, you need a case. So ESD prevention is basically you touch the PC for a couple of seconds. This is the metal. And you wait for a couple of seconds, 5 to 8 seconds, and then right after that, after you're holding the metal side, you can then move on with putting the parts and screwing the parts in. So of course, what are those parts? Let's get on with the right clip now, finally. So here's me throwing the assembly and disassembly, and I throw it out, just like that. And now my friend is trying to distract us. See, this is why it's hard. Okay, of course, first we're gonna put in the PSU, the power supply unit, and we're going to screw it in as my friend is trying to mess with us. So this is how it is, people. People are always going to ruin things for you, yes. So while we're screwing it in, always keep in mind to take it slow. Don't rush it, and remember to screw it correctly and rightly, alright? Because there are times where you don't screw it properly and it goes sideways and it breaks the screw. So I'm probably dragging this out. Let's skip on to the next one. Okay, next one for the motherboard. Okay, for the motherboard, and let's wait for it to pop up. Motherboard, where's the motherboard? Okay, now next one is on the parts of the motherboard. So we get the motherboard out of nowhere. And what do we do first? Of course, we make sure it's a fixed motherboard. I mean, what else do you want it to be? If it doesn't work, then what's the point of having a motherboard, right? Alright, So, first things first, you put in the CPU. Put it gently, nicely, easy, safely, alright? You don't want its rods, pins to get messed up, so you have to be really careful. Slowly, yeah, that's right. Put it in, yes. Better put it gently. It has a slot specifically for it, and if you put it just right, and you should put it just right, it's gonna fit right perfectly. And so, and bada bing, bada boom, and you close it and lock it, and just like that, it's safe. Okay, moving on. So I just caressed it a bit. Yeah, come on. Next part, we're gonna do the RAM. The RAM card. So how do you do the RAM? Of course, you put it in the RAM slots. Yes, you put it in the RAM slots. Wait, let me check. Yes, you put it in the RAM slots. So of course you have to lock it in. Definitely not what I'm doing here right now because I can't find a place to lock it in. So I call my colleague in to help. So with the RAM slots, you just slide them in and lock them in place. You have to press it at a certain point where you can hear the locks click, meaning that it's secured and safe. So these are two RAM slots, and you have to both lock them in place safely and surely, and don't force them in because they're gonna break. So you have to check if they're in on the right side or the wrong side. So the funny thing in the story is that our teacher knew that I was putting it on the wrong side, and he came in to help. See, just like that. That's how you're supposed to do it. Don't do what I did. Do what our instructor did. And just like that, we're done with the RAM slots. Okay, what is next? Now we're gonna we're going to install the motherboard on the case. Yes. Now we wait. So keep in mind, you have to be careful at all times whenever installing a PC. Whenever assembling a PC, not installing, that's the wrong term. Okay, this is actually taking quite a long time. Okay, yes, so slowly and gently put it in. Put it in. And screw it in. Screw, put it in. Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so the next part is installing the storage drives. So for the storage drives, of course, you're going to install them in the case, since they're not really going to be installed on the motherboard. You install them in on the case and then connect them in the motherboard. So let's just install them right away. So yeah, install them, install, go in, it doesn't want to, yes, install, it's slide in. This takes this is a process, guys. You're going to have mistakes, but just don't force things if they're not going to work. Just like forced relationships, don't force them if they're not going to work, because they're not going to work because you're forcing them. It's supposed to be something natural that just slides in and fits perfectly, alright? It's what you call chemistry. But in this case, you're just going to screw it in like so, and they're just going to see the holes, the stars align, the holes are there, and then all you need to do is screw and connect them. This is taking a long while. I don't remember why it's taking me a long. Oh, because I'm trying to find if it's going to be connected. But see how the screw lines are aligned. My colleague is making me laugh. You're not helping. Okay, you're not helping. The next part obviously is to plug everything in. Yeah, plug everything in. That's the thing. It's literally. It literally says in the map. Oh, please. Anyway, it says here, plug everything in. It says right here in the manual, plug everything in. So I'm plugging everything in. Nightmare. So what we showed you right now is editing magic. Did you catch that? Let's go back and see that again. See what we just placed in right then and there? You didn't notice that because you weren't paying attention. I'm just kidding. Guys, before you put it in, our biggest mistake here was not putting the case fan with the CPU. So, in this case, you actually have to put the CPU along with its heatsink fan. Not case fan, but heatsink fan. I corrected myself. So you have to put the heatsink fan on the CPU and then put the RAM cards, and then put the motherboard. You don't do it like how we did here. What we just did is movie magic, video editing magic, because we are in the modern era and because we can do that. Okay, let's go. Furthermore is just connecting and plugging everything in, and then right after that we can move on to the case fans. The case fans are just exhaust fans. They're not fan. Don't do what I did in the first part by just pointing them inward. They're supposed to be outward because they're exhaust fans. You're supposed to be blowing the heat out, or else it will break your PC because it doesn't have exhaust. Yeah. So of course, after like a couple of while, you have to connect the case fans, but I don't think I have to tell you that because you plugged everything. So I guess just keep. Yeah, I'll stop talking. Okay, next, finally. Oh my god. Oh. Finally, the expansion cards. Of course, it depends on the person what kind of expansion cards you have. So you can have either the graphics card or internet connection card. What do you call that thing again? You don't remember? Expansion cards are just additional functions for the PC for your PC that's not already connected to the motherboard. So yeah, we just inserted these expansion cards. I know that one's the GPU, but I know that other thing with the antenna. Yeah, that thing does the internet. That provides the connection to the router. That gives you internet. That gives you Wi-Fi. That connects you to the internet. I'm a computer student. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so after of course attaching the final cards and finally being able to attach these cards and painstakingly watch you people watching it, we finally slide in the side panel, the last thing, and do not violently slam it like how I did here or it will break. And just like that, we're done with our assembly video. That's how you assemble and disassemble a PC. That was very tiring for a couple of hours of recording. I hope you enjoy and I hope this video benefits you and entertains you, because everything in this video is right because we had to go through it. Yes, this is all real and the PC works. I'm Zach and I'm very exhausted.
Santa